Yes.
Oh. Is everybody? Am I good? Well, good evening, everybody. We are glad that you are joining us. This is the June 19th meeting for the Francis Howell School Board. We're glad that you are here. We get a chance to have a conversation today about the wonderful Francis Howell School District, and we're glad that you're watching us both in person and online. Let us start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our school district has a strategic plan with 4 pillars. You can follow along with those 4 pillars on our website. There's QR codes here in the room as well as a QR code to follow along with the agenda. We hope that you follow along and see all the great things happening here in Francis Howell. And so this agenda has been formed to help us accomplish that strategic plan. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda for June 19th, 2025 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Director Pushkar and then Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. We are all the way to patron comments. During patron comments, I want to remind you that residents of the district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order of sign up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make their remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving your time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you have taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and perspective. I'd like to remind everyone that we expect that speakers will remain civil and respectful when giving remarks. If anyone fails to comply with board policies, regulations, and rules, we reserve the right to cut those 3 minutes short. We also ask the patrons of the audience remain quiet in order to be respectful of the speaker's allotted time. We welcome Carl Surrey to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to publicly thank both Dr. Rumpus and Mrs. Embry for their service to the district over the last several years. I'm just one guy looking in from the outside, but I believe both of you have made significant contributions to our district, particularly when you consider that both of you started under extremely adverse conditions. Dr. Rumpus started during COVID. He was hired as a deputy superintendent, and he quickly became our COVID czar. And under his leadership, we were able to open our schools and keep them open and educate the children, which many districts were unable to do. 2 years later, he was thrust into the superintendent role after fallout from Prop S and a lot of the mismanagement that occurred, and we had turnover. A year later, Mrs. Embry joined us, and again, significant turmoil in the finance department, and I can't overstate the amount of damage that had been done and the disarray that occurred in finance. And so I thank you both for the significant contributions you've made. And I will say that you're both shining examples that one person, even in a district this large, can make a huge impact. With that said, I'm done early, and can we set that as the pattern for the night? Maybe we'll get done early and get out of here tonight?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you. Tonight, that is the only patron comment, and so with that, we would like to welcome FHEA for comments. FHEA is our teachers union. This is President Francine Hill.
Good evening, my name is Francine Hill, and I'm the FHEA president. First, I want to clarify some information that was misunderstood from my last speech. I realized that it was a great deal of information, which is why I wanted to provide the board with a paper copy. In my speech, I referred to 7 bargaining groups in 3 districts. Knowing that most of the board has not yet experienced negotiations, I wanted to be clear that districts have multiple groups that each negotiate separately. I clearly stated the 6 groups that opened negotiations were from 2 different districts, St. Charles and Huntsville. Each district has 3 different groups. In Francis Howell, we have 4 groups that negotiate separately. FHE negotiates for our certified staff and our ESEs separately, since they are 2 different bargaining units. FESPA negotiates for most of our non-certified staff, and Teamsters negotiates for transportation. Our certified staff are the only group to request the honors. I hope that makes the information in my last speech clearer. Please reach out to FHEA anytime you feel like you need clarification or have a question. FHEA wants to have a truthful and transparent relationship with the board. We also shared concerns about the new policy to allow staff to carry a weapon in our schools. It was great to learn that the district has included funds in the budget to place an SRO in every school. This is a step forward in providing a safe environment for our students and staff. So having a SOP or another non-police officer carrying a gun is not necessary. Since the last meeting and the introduction of this new policy, we would believe that you have received emails from stakeholders regarding this policy. In the past, Francis Howell has done a great job of conducting community roundtables to get information from all stakeholders. You should consider pausing on pushing this policy through so quickly and hold some of these discussions. FHEA believes a decision of this importance should provide all the stakeholders an opportunity to provide insights and concerns. Why does this need to be done in such a rush? With the summer months upon us, it is the hope of FHEA that the toxic gas issue at North is found and fixed. Lastly, we want to thank all our staff for working so hard over the summer to provide extra support to our students and to prepare our schools for the upcoming school year. We hope everyone finds time to relax and enjoy the summer. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we welcome FHSD for comments.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Jennifer Vineyard and I am the FHSD Vice President of Clerical Staff and the BIS at Warren Elementary. As we begin the summer season, we hope our students and staff are enjoying a well-deserved break. To our year-round staff who are hard at work on important projects while activity in our buildings has slowed down, we hope you are also finding time to relax and recharge during the summer months. To staff and students participating in our summer programs, we hope you're gaining valuable experiences and even enjoying a bit of fun along the way. We understand that being in school during the summer is not easy, but your dedication and commitment is very important and truly makes a difference. We would also like to express our appreciation to Aaron Hoji and the Benefits and Payroll Department for their quick and effective response in resolving a recent issue affecting some of our non-year-round employees. Their collaboration and timely communication ensured that they were informed and supported, and we are grateful for your efforts. I'd like to personally thank the HR department for acknowledging the need to provide additional support for our high school level BISs. I'm hopeful that the same support will be extended to BISs at other building levels for the 26-27 school year. Regarding the noxious odor at Francis Hall North, we remain hopeful that the source of the ongoing odor will be identified and addressed before the start of the 25-26 school year. This issue has caused significant concern among staff and students, affecting their comfort, sense of well-being, and the overall learning environment. We respectfully urge that the health and safety of our school community remains a top priority for everyone in the building. As we approach the end of June, we want to recognize those who will be leaving Francis Howell. Whether you are retiring or moving on to new opportunities, thank you for your service. Your work has shaped the lives of countless students and left a lasting impact on our district. To those joining us to fill these roles, welcome to the Francis Hall family. We look forward to working with you to continue making our district a great place to learn and grow. And we thank Dr. Rumpus for his dedicated leadership and service. Your tenure has been marked by integrity and a strong commitment to student success. We deeply appreciate the time, effort, and care you have devoted to our district. The impact of your work will continue to be felt by students, staff, and families for years to come. On behalf of FHSD, we offer our heartfelt gratitude and wish you the very best in all that lies ahead. Thank you.
Thank you to Jennifer Vineyard. I'd like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda for June 19th, 2025 as presented.
So moved.
Director Pushkar for the motion, second Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Okay. Wondering, I think we're maybe out of order here somewhere. But at this point, I invite Carol Embry to come forward.
I'm not sure why I brought my phone. I don't know if I'm planning to phone a friend or what's going on with that, but I grabbed it. It's not like I'm going to watch the time on my phone, right? I'm teasing. This is very short for us this evening. Excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't do the vote, did you?
One second. I'm sorry, come on, my papers stuck together.
Oh.
And so I want to make sure we go through this the right way. Motion to approve the budget as presented.
Second.
Director Pushkar, Director Ponder with the second. And now we welcome Ms. Embry, CFOO, to present.
Thank you very much. So this evening, this is basically a refresher for you regarding the recommendation that was fully presented to you during the June 5 meeting. And so I just have a few slides for you this evening. So highlighting that the full budget presentation again was presented during the last meeting. A balanced operating budget is presented for this FY26 budget. The budget includes receiving $3.2 million of state adequacy target increase within the budget. As you know, we've discussed that it could be up to $6.4 million if fully funded, and this would be the 50% mark. The recommended budget will support the strategic plan alignment, and of course, as usual, future budget amendments will be recommended as new information is known. This slide highlights for you the operating fund balance trajectory, where we're providing you that operating fund balance percentage estimate at June 30 each year. For FY26, we are targeting at this point in time 27.3%, which is a 1.9% reduction as compared to our current estimate, and that's if all revenues are received and all expenditures are expended relative to budgets. This is the repeat of the operating fund balance trajectory and the recommendations relative to addressing that downward trend, including information on levy generation of revenue. And then this is the general budget summary. It is included within the previous presentation and within the budget document. This is what summarizes all the governmental funds. It's structured much like the ASBR, or the Annual Secretary of the Board Report. That is our state financial report. And again, you can see the operating fund balance percentage at 27.3. This budget recommendation includes total governmental funds that include bond funds and capital and debt of revenues $292,202,516, expenditures $333,627,358. Again, the gap between revenues and expenditures is us continuing to spend down bond funds that were received a few years ago. The next slide is just a reminder that not included within those governmental funds is our self-insurance fund, so it's posted separately. It's the same information that was provided to you during the June 5 meeting. That concludes the reminder on our budget recommendation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions, board?
My life wouldn't be complete without asking our question. Between last meeting and this meeting, have we had any update on insurance cost?
We have not.
Okay.
There's not been any
Just checking.
change.
If there are no other questions, board, let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed to say no. Motion carries. A motion to approve the finance and operations report as presented.
Second.
Director Pushkar with the motion, second with Director Ponder. Ms. Embry.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This shows you that we do have a budget amendment recommendation, and it's not a surprise. We had conducted that defeasance based on your approval in a previous board meeting, and that closed on our last board meeting date. And so this provides you the debt service budget amendment for expenditures in the amount of $13,975,812. And it does not impact our operating fund balance trajectory because it's separate from the operating fund. So we're still at the same estimate as prior month of 29.2% for the current year. We have included for you the information relative to transfers. I'll highlight those for you because your motion and approval references transfers as well. The transfer of funds from the general fund to the capital fund up to the guaranteed tax-based transfer, currently estimated at $7 million. The other allowable transfers per the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and a transfer of unused operating funds for Fund 10 and 20 to the Health Fund, amount to be determined at June 30, 2025. And our commitment is that we would not drop below the 29.2 fund balance percentage ending at June 30. So we're still continuing, the team is still continuing to generate payrolls and pay all the bills for the year. That activity will continue well up to the final June 30 date, and at that point in time, we will ascertain what we might be able to do. The next slide reminds you of the budget amendments that have occurred relative to revenue throughout the year. This next one is expenditures, and this shows you detailed information relative to that debt service fund budget amendment. Again, a familiar slide where we're showing you our operating fund balance trajectory. This is the bond financial information highlighting that we do still have $4,265,000 that may be designated for certain projects. And otherwise, the bond financials are comprehensively posted each month on board docs. Our insurance fund continues to struggle, and where we had left off, we had included a $6 million transfer from the operating fund to the health fund, and we'll continue to monitor that and determine that additional amount that's needed. This slide provides you the work in progress, so you know that the facility master plan and demographic study are underway, and well, it might be July, it might be August, I'm not sure when that will come forward for your review. Same for the transportation review that's being conducted. This summer, the facility team and our partners in the work are delivering on between 35 to 45 million in construction projects. And transportation, of course, is addressing routing. Our technology team is busy deploying those devices that you approved and redistributing 4,000 devices throughout the system. Our end-of-year close for 24-25 includes those balance of contract checks and reconciliations. Our open enrollment for benefits will occur August 4 through 21 for all of our employees and retirees participating. And then the financial audit, the engagement dates included June 2nd through 3rd, then again October 6th through 24. And the final recommendation for acceptance of the audit needs to occur by December, end of December, so that we can be compliant with DESE requirements. So either it would be delivered to you in the November meeting or in the December meeting. And then we'll start the budget process all over again, the continuous cycle. I do have an added, this was a change that was just made today. The DESE information that we received June 18th, so that was just yesterday, indicates that the formula in the current year is not fully funded by approximately $10 per student measure. So that's an impact of revenue loss for Francis Howell of $173,000. There was an additional appropriation that was provided and that the governor approved, but it wasn't quite enough to meet the demand. So that's how it works. But this next slide is very important, and I want to cover this information for you. I want you to know that there's a lot to digest, and that there will be many, many more conversations about this. So Senate Bill 3 is a property tax freeze bill that made it across the threshold, and that happened within a 12-day period. The legislation became law when the governor signed it June 14, technically to be implemented in August, as is all legislative changes. A special session had been called on June 2nd, and so that's how quickly that transpired. The House and the Senate both approved it on June 11th. This placed a cap on the value of every residential real estate parcel based on the September 2024 data. Senators identified the impact to their counties. No change to the current law impacts 18 counties of 114. And St. Louis City is a number in there that may throw us off one, but 5% cap on increases per parcel is 75 counties, and a 0% increase per parcel, per residential parcel, 22 counties, and we are one of those counties, a 0% increase. A vote of the people must occur by the April 2026 election, so the opportunities would be the November election or the April election. This bill works just like Senate Bill 190, but there's no age limitation or expectation. You don't have to be 62 years of age. The Hancock Amendment will still apply in the aggregate, and so basically it will still suppress our levy. I've told you before that when AV goes down, the levy goes up to compensate so that we can maintain our revenue base. That will not happen because the value of those properties for residential property owners will still increase, but then they will be given a tax credit. Our levy will be calculated off of the increased AV, but we will not receive that revenue. It's a direct slice off the top of the revenue. Other assessed valuation types will need to carry the debt service payment demand, and what that means is because residential real estate represents nearly 76% of our tax base in this community, if those revenues do not continue to grow to meet the amortization schedule payments of our debt service demands, then that burden will be placed on other properties such as commercial, agricultural, that type of thing. So the Francis Howell impact is that March 2025, I just mentioned our residential real estate represented 75.8% of the total of $4.195 billion in AV. 0% growth per parcel for all taxing jurisdictions. This is not a school district only situation. This will impact all taxing jurisdictions in not only our county but other counties throughout the state. The operating revenue growth in the past years I've indicated for you at 5.5 million, 8.3 million, and then 1.2 million if we add current and delinquent together, okay? And our trajectory, I don't like to use the word conservative, I say realistic. We have realistic increases included in the trajectory, and we know that we have a downward trend, but we included currently FY26, 4.1 million, FY27, 2.6 million, FY28, 3.9 million, and FY29, 2.7 million. Again, the roller coaster there is because of reassessment and non-reassessment years, so we have that ebb and flow. This is a very significant conversation for all of us to have throughout the county, throughout the state, and we've already had significant conversations as an administrative team regarding next steps in informing everyone of the potential impact to our district. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those on any of this information.
Yeah, Carol, thank you for that. I've been looking at the Senate bill a lot today, trying to figure out, is this something we should consider prepping for? In terms of, for example, we just definitely bought our new ELA curriculum, so we know that that's going to be good for our students for the next 6 or so years. However, I know the math curriculum is something that is very aged. Should we consider buying that now while we have a little bit of funds before we don't? I'm wondering if we should also figure, I know you buttons and levers, what should we be doing to prepare for this possible eventuality?
So part of our conversation and part of that information sharing with people who will be considering this opportunity, again, patrons will be asked to go to the polls by April 26 and vote on whether or not the tax credit should be brought into St. Charles County. As an administrative team, we need to be developing the list of what are all those places that we would look at first. And it will be a major process for us to develop that information to share with the Board of Education. I will tell you, though, that we can nickel and dime supplies all we want, but the only way to get at real revenue losses is through people. And we've experienced that in this district in the past, and we already are faced with a situation that it doesn't have a bright future for us relative to our revenue growth, and now we have this additional onus placed upon us. So many conversations, not easy to answer in the moment, but a lot of work will be taking place to address it.
Thank you.
So, thank you. What has happened is that Jefferson City has approved Senate Bill 3, it has passed, but there will be a future election ballot initiative where the county decides if we want to keep going by our current plan or if we want to apply Senate Bill 3 for our county. And so what has only happened is the opening up of those two options. And we don't know yet when that will be on the ballot, whether it's going to be in November or April, but we're just aware that it will be on a ballot coming up. And so we just need to be informed and to share information. Is that my
Correct.
understanding.
St. Charles County would need to certify that election, that ballot question by August 26th, I believe was the date. I looked that up earlier today. And so we would know by then if it's coming at the November election. I encourage everyone to move quickly and begin the information campaign regardless of when the election occurs, and just make sure everyone understands. We are already suppressed on our ability to grow revenue on our operating levy because of the Hancock Amendment. It's a constitutional amendment that the voters of the state have applied, and everyone is treated equally through that. And this is a very disparate approach to how counties are taxed differently.
And just to make sure, because we've been so thankful to have you, just want to make sure we get your opinion on this before
Sure.
you get out. One of the impacts of this would be that the cost that we have to pay would still have inflation to it, whether it's
Excellent.
inflation of insurance or energy, anything that we're paying would still have inflation, but this would cap out the majority of our residential taxes at a certain year's level.
Right.
And so that doesn't inflate, so basically cost inflate for us, but the biggest chunk of revenue largely flatlines, which creates problems. That's what I'm hearing you say?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I was just wondering how St. Charles County ended up as a 0%.
So I wasn't present for how that played out, but as I understand it, each senator or the group of senators was able to identify their counties. I do understand from another official in the community that engagement occurred with St. Charles County on that. I don't know that that happened statewide where that would have occurred, but most definitely senators determined which of their counties, which option would apply to their county.
So
And then
our legislators agreed to that.
Just one, just our state.
the Senate
Senator.
Right.
set the bill. It's a Senate bill, and that's how it originated, and then it was passed by the Senate and then not changed by the House, and they approved it on the same day.
And a majority of the rural communities were at 5%, is that right?
There are, I would say that is correct for most of them, or either that or no change to the law.
Okay.
There are just interesting pockets. There have been a couple of maps developed that help us see how that plays out. And in the center of the state, it's mostly grayed out, meaning no change. They're sticking with the law, with the current Missouri statute. And then it's the outliers that you're correct. I would say those would be the rural areas. That would be the 5% mostly. And then when you get into some of the other urban areas, it's a 0%. But also on the southern border of Missouri, a number of those counties are also 0%. So I don't understand all the dynamics that were at play regarding this, but it is a very serious situation for us to consider.
Do you think there'll be litigation about this?
Personally, I would not be surprised because of the disparate treatment of, you could, well, let me explain. Well, first of all, there are school districts that have multiple counties within their boundaries. A variety of rules are being applied to people within a same community for the most part. And the other thing, of course, again, Missouri statute governs the entire state, and this is separating us out. My concern, in addition to not only the impact to taxing jurisdictions, is that this will economically be a downturn for any community that's experiencing this, because people won't want to sell their houses if they're frozen in time at September 2024. They won't move to a house of equal value because then they'll have a new base, right? I think it will be a downturn on construction activity, which will impact us again because we do acquire new construction values when we're receiving revenue.
So we need to hunker down and we need to communicate like crazy.
And we need to be very strategic in the approach.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions about the finance and operations report? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the purchases as presented. Motion by Director Pushkar, second by Director Ponder. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. At this point, we have a different kind of agenda item than normal. This is a discussion agenda item. And what I will do is set a time limit for the maximum of 15 minutes and want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak at least twice about it. Director Pushkar, I'm going to say, I'm just going to make a rule that if you want to speak up to 4 times, if this is your idea, in order to answer questions, feel free to speak up to 4 times. Sound good? So this has to do with a discussion surrounding a third-party vendor who would look through all of the books in our libraries. If Director Pushkar could set the conversation up.
Sure. I brought this forward at the last meeting, and the hope was that we might consider, not make a decision tonight, but might consider hiring a third-party independent reviewer of the library materials. I know Stephen and I had a discussion this afternoon and asked if this was going to do this or that, and I mostly responded, well, that's for the board to decide. But what I know, I know, not personally, but I know this company. I've talked to the consultant that does this type of work. I do know that he does not require a contract. It's an ad hoc sort of thing, so it would be something that we would maybe hire for a month, see if anything is being reported that we agree with, and then move on from there. Could be every other month, could be twice a year. It doesn't really matter what it is. But basically what he does is he uses an algorithm to go in and check books for their age appropriateness. And he merely points them out, as from what I understand from the questions that were asked, he merely points them out to the board. It's up to the board to decide on their own whether they think that they're age appropriate or not. What I also did was one of the books that's in our high school libraries, my belief is that it's age inappropriate. I took some of the excerpts from the book and put them on a piece of paper and gave them to you so that you could read. Not for the fact of shaming anyone, but the fact of, I think we need to watch this or look at this a little bit more closely. Again, my opinion. Since we do have things that, I know everybody's tolerance is different, of course, but at the same time, in my estimation, we need, as I just mentioned, we need to look at it more closely. Can I help with any questions before I hand it over?
Yes, I looked this person up. I noticed that they're affiliated with Hillsdale College, which is out of Michigan. It's also a conservative Christian school, so I'm concerned if there would be any third-party biases, especially with like a political affiliation, that this person would be using this algorithm through.
Sure. What I'd like to respectfully respond to that, Sarah, and say that the books from the ALA definitely have a political bias and a certain slant. Do I know about Hillsdale? Yes, I do. At the same time, the books that are being reviewed, he would come to the board and ask what our tolerance is. Do you have a very high tolerance or a very low tolerance as far as topics such as sexual education, politics, things like history, things like that? So you kind of set the parameters.
Where is it?
Hillsdale College.
You said it's in
Michigan.
Does anybody else, I want to make sure everybody has a first comment first before we get to second comments. Anybody else have a first comment they want to ask for Jane or anything else you want to share?
Well, I guess I was wondering why we don't think our library media specialist can handle this.
Well, the library media specialist, I'm sure you were here or at the last meeting, mentioned that they are so overworked and they don't want to put an ISBN number on a list of books because it would take too much time. So, of course, I would make the assumption that they're too busy to review every book or to read every book or to classify every book or to answer all of our questions about it.
What is so I'm hearing that librarians, you feel like, don't have time to properly review all of the materials. Yeah. And we would then pay somebody to review all of our materials? Like, how are they gonna have time and how much is that gonna
Okay.
cost, I guess?
From the last time that I talked to him, it was a choice per month, and you could throw in as much as you wanted. I think that we'd have to negotiate that a little bit. He'd have to negotiate that a little bit better. But at the time, he offered to look at our list of books that we have, and if we wanted to, we wanted him to review curriculum, he would do that as well.
Okay. How is this different than our current process, I guess, that we have for parents or anybody in the district to challenge our policies?
That's a great question. The books that come out, Sarah, they don't, even if you review them every month as a parent, I'm sure that you don't know all the authors of the books that may have a penchant for writing things that are age inappropriate. I don't. I mean, you might, but I think most parents don't. So it would be more of a preview or having a third-party independent look at it, because not every parent has the time. Even if they looked at it every month, they may not know that there's age inappropriate things in there. This to me is like an insurance policy.
I have a lot of questions, but I forgot it's one at a time. So.
Was you right there? Thank you so much. My first comment will be just sharing some of the information. I received an email from the company, and the starting cost of $3,000 per month. When I asked what background do you have in literature, education, library services, yeah, the answer was I've taught as a teacher and department chair in grades 3 through 12, history, civics, government, economics, ELA, and Latin in Texas and Minnesota, and received a certification from the Texas Education Agency. Mentions I specifically avoid consulting school library journals and the like due to their hard ideological bias and the propagation of texts that directly aim to undermine the American tradition of free self-government and parental rights. When asked what criteria do you use to identify possibly problematic books, made a comment about I'm looking for bias for certain viewpoints or approaches without due representation or opposing considerations and grade level appropriateness, and then said for the former, content that pushes oppressor, oppressed, or critical theory narratives in a Marxist vein, diversity, equity, and inclusion that discriminates, social and emotional learning, and culturally responsive teaching that perpetuate the above are some of the things that you identify as problematic. And so I just want to share that as one of my comments. Does anybody else have a first comment to share?
Yeah, I actually have a question. Amy brings up a good point of the initial process of screening these books, or if there is a process of screening the books. If I'm not mistaken, I think, Connie, you said something a meeting or two ago, I don't know the exact date, but when I think Director Pushkar first brought this up about the books that come in are not, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it said something like the books that come in are not typically screened if they had an award, or you said something like that, if they had like a Newbery Award or something. I don't remember exactly what you said, but you said something along those lines. Can you?
Yes, I was trying to pull my notes up really quick, but you were quicker than I was. I believe the policies, the recent policy that we brought forward,
6310.
6310. You guys had asked us to get some feedback from our building library media specialist about it. We went and got that feedback, and one of the pieces of feedback that they provided was what you were talking about, the Mark Twain nominees, the Newbery, that they order those each year to make them available to kids. There's often the contest. If you read so many, you can vote on the winner, things like that. And so one of our suggestions in the updates of the policy was that we know that they're all buying those each year. They're a list that's curated from a group of folks that they wouldn't have to wait for those to be not approved. They wouldn't have to wait for those to make it through a board agenda. They could go ahead and purchase those. So be careful not to use, I know you're not approving them.
Right.
So that was just a change based on the feedback.
Does anybody have a second comment or question?
As a parent, I value my authority with my own child to choose what books they read and are exposed to. And I'm concerned that we would be undermining our parents with something like this. That we would be not allowing, here's an example. I'm a teacher, I teach ELA, and I'm well aware of all the books that I use within my own curriculum. I love Mark Twain nominees. I love Truman Award winners. I promote those in my classroom all the time. But I constantly build relationships with my parents to tell them that if you are concerned, please go to Common Sense Media, which is another third party. It's free. And I ask them to look up the book. And when they look up that book, it'll tell them if there's language, if there's sex, if there's violence, if there's things that they are concerned about, because I don't want to speak for them. I don't know their values, I don't know their cultural identities, but I do want to be respectful, and Common Sense Media is free.
I appreciate your comment, Sarah. I think there's a misunderstanding. This would not mean that those books would be pulled and then the board would approve them. These books could be lined out in some sort of way to the parents to say, hey, you may not want your kid to read this. And if that's the case, then there is a policy that will handle a book challenge. But for the last 2 years, that book challenge policy has not been used at all. And that, for whatever reason, after reading what I just read and gave to all you guys, I'm like, wait a minute, I think maybe it would be used a little bit more. So these books would not be pulled for us to approve.
Anybody else have a second comment?
Well, I guess I'm kind of concerned about what you were reading. To me, it shows the bias held by this person or this company, because I think it's skewed. I don't think it's in the middle. And I mean, everybody has bias.
But again, he's not pulling anything. He's
I know,
making aware.
But the comment that he made, if he doesn't consult school library journals and the like, due to their hard ideological bias and their propagation of texts that directly aim to undermine the American tradition of free self-government and parental rights.
Mhm.
That's just...
Well, that's under the DEI CRT
Yeah.
title, which if we have those in our libraries, we're going to get financially
Well, like I
punished for
said at
that.
the last meeting, DEI is public schools. We don't have public schools without DEI.
President
Thank
Blair.
you. Thank you.
I just want to give you we're at 11 minutes and 25 seconds.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have a second comment? Amy or Mark?
I do. I agree with Sarah quite a bit there, because I also value my authority as a parent. Now, this particular subject hits directly home for me. A couple of years ago, my daughter brought home a book. It was shortly after Halloween, and she likes spooky things. It happens. I think I've told all you guys this. We didn't think anything of it. Get a note from the teacher, and her teacher was fantastic. She said, hey, I didn't get a chance to look over this book, and you guys might want to take a look at it. So we used Common Sense Media, and we looked it up, and we were flabbergasted at what it actually had told us. Now, the thing about that is, that's up to me as a parent. Other parents may not have been flabbergasted. They might not have cared. I did, because I thought, well, A, the book was rated 8 to 12. Why is my 7-year-old able to bring it home? So that was concern number one. And then concern number two, that my 7-year-old didn't get to read it because we intercepted it, but there were depictions of rape, incest, murder, hangings, lynchings, the N-word. And so, of course, we kind of freaked out a little bit, but the system at that point worked. It was intercepted by the teacher understood what it was. They told the parents got to stop it, right? Other parents may not have done that. That was my choice as a parent to have that particular authority. My problem with that wasn't that process. My problem with it was that my child was able to get it in the first place, was able to have that in her hands, and she may not have brought it home. She may have read it in the library. It was to Jane's point, it was placed in an age inappropriate hand. And so I think that's where we're all at right now, is how do we make sure that the Newbery Award winner, I think that's what that one is. Go ahead.
Yes, but can I correct myself? That was in the first draft that we brought you. That was one of the revisions that we made for the second read that you have tonight. So we did take that part out, so they're not automatic.
Right. That's where I was going with that too. Good. But those are the things that I think we're all talking about. It's just making sure that our children don't have access to things that they should not have access to. Should, that book be in the hands of a 12-year-old? Sure. Yeah, I mean, the problem that I have now with that particular instance was my daughter could have learned things in that book that if she had practiced them without context or knowing what it was in her classroom, she would have been reprimanded for it by using something or using a term or a word that she learned from a book that she got from the district. So it was very upsetting to us, but to both of your points, this is a process that we have to understand and get through. Is it easy? No, but like Sarah, I value my authority as a parent. That's one of the reasons why I ran as a board director and became a board director. But I also understand Jane's point where everything needs to be put into appropriate hands, and we just have to figure out how we get there and what that looks like. What hands are, what books are appropriate and what books are not.
All right, so 15 minutes are up. So Jane, do you want to say one final thing?
I just want to say that I think this enhances the ability of parents to parent their children because it's more transparent and brings things to their attention. So,
I appreciate it.
thank you. And thank you, Stephen, for putting this on the agenda.
No, I appreciate the conversation, and thank you all. Thank you, everybody, for sharing that as you were able to share. We are moving to policy and regulations. This policy is informational only at this time. It will be brought back for a second reading and vote at the August 21st board meeting. That's a reference to 3510 Annual Audit Financial Operations First Read. At this point, we're moving to the agenda item that has multiple policies and regulations listed. And as of right now, we are going to consider them all together unless we want to separate them. But as of right now, looking at all the policies, 1432, 2340, 6310, Regulation 6310. A motion to approve the policies and regulations as presented. Motion by Vice President Griders, second by Director Ponder. Are there any conversations about, any of these? Or
Again, I think an ISBN number is really important.
all right. So if there are no more questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, motion passes. And now we will welcome Kevin Roberts and Matt Frank for our Francis Howell North building update.
President Blair, as our guests who are partnering with us in this work join us at the podium, I'll just remind everyone that we have engaged with Mr. Roberts as part of this review. I see Mr. Stutzer is joining them at the podium as well. Just a reminder for you and everyone that S.M. Wilson was the construction management company that oversaw the construction project. The building was designed by Hohner Architects, and they partnered with McClure Engineering. Those are the entities that designed the building and the mechanical, electrical engineering components of the building. And as you'll learn this evening through the update, Mr. Frank will be providing some of that engagement information as well. So thank you very much for being able to join us.
Thanks, Carol. Good to see everyone again, and we have a presentation tonight for you. The first item on the agenda, though, we thought we'd jump right into the air quality monitoring and give an update, so I'm going to turn it over to Kevin.
Thank you. Since the last meeting, since last month, we've installed 5 more monitors throughout the school, so we have a total of 10 telemetry monitors that are monitoring for sewer gas constituents throughout the school. I believe 7 on the first floor, sporadic locations where there's been complaints, 2 on the second floor, and then 1 in the lower level in the art hallway down there. Since the last month, we are again continuously monitoring this. We're taking a sample or a reading every second, 24/7. And since this last meeting, we've had no detections of hydrogen sulfide. We've had no issues or elevations of the lower explosive limit, which could be various chemicals that could cause a flame or explosion, such as methane gas, hydrogen, all that. Carbon monoxide levels have all been below our alarm levels. I'll go into that in a second. Oxygen has remained constant at 20.9%, what normal air would be. We have shown the last week and a half, 2 weeks, some elevated levels of VOCs. However, being able to pinpoint and look at when these readings were, we have associated all these readings with the stripping and floor stripping activities at the school.
I'm sorry, remind me what a VOC is?
VOCs are volatile organic compounds. So it's various chemicals that, it's typically the odors that you smell. It could be in hairspray, deodorants, all of that. When we first installed these, we could pretty much tell when class was being dismissed because the students were walking by and were picking up all those little low levels of VOCs as they walked by. So we did have some of these VOC levels, and like I said, it's attributed to the waxing and floor stripping activities performed at the school. 2 nights ago, we did have a hit of CO. We're still below the alarm levels, but CO is carbon monoxide. And again, last night we had it again. And then looking into that, this was right around when we had the VOCs going up and down in those hallways, and we were able to contribute that to the machines at the school that they're using with the floor stripping activities are propane powered. So the propane is, the machine's burning it off, however, there is some low levels of CO. So again, these readings are all below our action limits and well below anything that is considered to be an exposure that could cause harm. So everything is remained constant and does not appear to be any elevations attributed with any of the sewer gas or anything at this time.
Let's see, so some progress since the last time we spoke a month ago. We have done quite a bit of work since then. One thing we've done that was really important was we did smoke test the entire building. It didn't matter if there was a complaint in the area or not. The entire plumbing system has been smoke tested last week. We didn't do a normal smoke testing like we spoke last time. We burned a lot of smoke and really did an intensive style of smoke testing to identify any break in the plumbing system. Good news is we did find a few breaks. We found one in the 2400 corridor. It appeared that when the masons were installing CMU walls, there's some plumbing venting in there, and they were probably at the top of the wall and dropped a brick in, or a CMU block. It cracked a pipe. We were able to find that through the smoke testing. It had about a maybe 3/4 inch by 2.5 inch long crack in it, so not major, but it was there. Typically, a crack of that size, you're going to get some odor probably in the room adjacent to it, and that's about it. It's really not going to travel. This was in an area where the odor was able to travel a bit, and part of that was the science rooms on the second floor all have exhaust fans. And I understand the thought process behind it, but the teachers were turning on the exhaust fans and letting them run 24 hours a day. That was drawing about 8,000 CFM, and that air had to come from somewhere, so it was pulling it straight out of that crack in the vent piping. So a couple things. One, we're fixing the vent piping, so that'll be fixed. The other thing we're doing is we're putting dial timers on the exhaust fans. So you've probably seen them. They're a wall timer. You crank it, and it lets things run for an hour, and then it'll turn off. So that's good for building efficiency and pressurization and all kinds of stuff. So kind of fixing two problems there. We did find one more break in the coach's shower room, basically, and that really hadn't had any complaints in that area. While we were smoke testing, it was mentioned, the coaches said it occasionally got an odor just in that bathroom. We did find a break in that wall. It looked like it was from the masonry contractor as well. And that was just a very local complaint. Occasionally that bathroom smelled a little bit. So that one's repaired as well. And after we're making these repairs too, we are smoke testing again. So we make the repair, run the smoke test. If there's no smoke, we're sure that it's fixed. And then we did find one other area that was by the concessions space, by the main gym. Again, an area where there were never any complaints, but just being thorough. We have a plumber scheduled next week to investigate that. These were not easy breaks to find. They were basically found through, you identify some smoke, and then we had scopes, basically cameras on cables, and drilling holes through the masonry and going behind the walls. I mean, these were all behind masonry walls.
Mhm.
So, also with the smoke testing, just so you understand the, I guess, precision of it, there was a plumbing stack, and they have a clean out cap screwed on them. You've probably seen them in your house. It's just kind of a white cap with threads on it. And there was one that wasn't cranked down all the way, and smoke was coming through the threads of that clean out. So with that said, if there's a break, we found it because it comes out of the tiniest spaces. So the good news is we were there. McClure Engineering was there to witness the smoke testing, and Haberberger Plumbing was on site as well. We all feel 100% confident that we found any opening in the building. Now, the openings we found, I would say, they were an opening. We're happy that we found them, happy to fix them. We would classify these as a minor contributor to the overall problem. But that is done. So now at this point, the building will not have guarantee there's no openings in the plumbing. Inside the building, that also checks any floor traps that may be dry. Basically, any opening has been identified in just a few areas. We also, through inspection, found in the kitchen gas piping union from the kitchen manufacturer, the equipment manufacturer. It was loose and leaking a little bit of gas, so we fixed that. That's corrected as well. Last couple meetings, we spoke, and Mark, you had a question about potential odors coming up through the earth, and that can happen on buildings. So we spoke with SCI Engineering, and they said that the chance of that on this occasion is very unlikely. Really, any smells are going to come through organic matter below the building, and all organic matter was removed during the process. And we also have a vapor barrier installed, so it's a thick metal plastic barrier underneath the concrete slab. They said there's virtually no way. Yeah, but worth checking, so we can rule that out. The other thing we've done, and this is kind of a big one that we're going to implement this summer, is McClure Engineering is redesigning the plumbing vents on the roof, and we think this is really the big solution here. So as we've our theory has been for quite a while is the main source of the odor coming in is coming out of the rooftop vents and getting sucked back in through the air handlers. And how do you correct that? We met with Haberberger Plumbing and McClure Engineering and others, and really the best way to fix that is get those plumbing vents as far away from the air handlers as you can and get them extended up as high as you can, so that way prevailing winds carry the sewer gas away. It can't come back into the building. So McClure Engineering is going to have those drawings done tomorrow. We got a preliminary set yesterday. Final drawings will be done tomorrow. We'll get those to Haberberger Plumbing, and the plan is to get those vents moved this summer before school starts. And with that, I would say I am confident that moving these plumbing vents far away from the air handlers and getting them high in the air, and then also verifying we don't have any breaks in the building, that the odor should be resolved. I'm confident. So, yes.
That is very good news.
Yeah, thanks. So one other thing is we are installing manometers. Manometers are a pressure differential gauge, and we're putting those on 5 of the rooftop vents. They were installed today. They're going to log data over time. There has been some observations that the plumbing system can turn positive. Sometimes pressure is off from what you typically see. So we're measuring that. It's kind of information. I don't think it's going to change what we're implementing as a fix, but it's good information to have if needed. So smoke testing, I mean, we did talk quite a bit about it, but I just really want to make sure you understand what we did. A normal smoke test, you're going to burn, so you have a fan. It's a centrifugal fan, and you put smoke pellets in it. The smoke, it's kind of like a smoke bomb, a firework that you would see. It's a little fancier, but similar. You light it, it emits smoke, it pressurizes the building system. A normal smoke test, you'd burn 2 pellets. If that doesn't work, maybe 2 more, so maybe 4 pellets. Last week, we burned over 400 smoke pellets in the building. So it gives you a sense of the amount of smoke that was pressurized in the plumbing system to find anything that could be open. Just an example of smoke testing. So this is smoke testing in action. The graphic is just to help everyone understand you implement smoke into the plumbing system. If there are any breaks inside the building, smoke's going to come out. It's pretty easy to find. So especially with that volume of smoke, it's very easy to spot. So the revised vending strategy, as we talked about, McClure is going to have their drawings done tomorrow. And we're relocating all the vents on the main roof, the auditorium, the industrial arts area, which is down in the lower section, and the west classroom wing. So all those vents are going to be piped across the roof to a remote location and extended anywhere from 10 to 15 feet above the roof level to get those into the winds and let that travel away. And primary objective there is just making sure that sewer gas odors can't get back to the rooftop units and drawn back into the building at that point. Just an example here of just a graphic of what we're doing. So you can see the arrows that are kind of going in a circle. When you have a building that has parapet walls, which are kind of those walls that stick up at the edge of the building where the roof turns up, air can get trapped in there and it can churn. There's just different obstacles on the roof that can trap air and redirect it. This is an example of you get that vent up high. The cloud from the odor is above all the equipment and it can travel away where no one cares. And this is just, you've seen this video before, but this is an example of the low roof vent and how that odor can travel right along the roof level and right back into the air handler, extend that 15 feet in the air. It just goes into the atmosphere and problem solved. So our next steps, we're going to fix the last of the plumbing openings that were in the building. We're scheduled to do that next week. Those will be fixed. We'll smoke test one more time, replace the CMU block that's been removed. That should be done by the end of the month. We're going to install the roof tap manometers. Those were installed today, so we'll collect data, get some more information there. And then McClure's drawings are coming tomorrow. We'll get that out to the plumber, get those installed. Plan is to have all that work done before school starts again. It's a fair amount of work, but we're going to work hard to get that done. And then, yeah, we're going to keep monitoring the air quality, as Kevin said. He's got a close eye on it. I mean, anytime one of those monitors sense anything, we get email alerts. Kevin's calling and saying, hey, this monitor spiked a little bit. What's going on there? A couple good things. It proves they work, for one. I mean, they are picking up stuff. They can tell when the janitorial staff is scrubbing floors or kids are coming out of classrooms. They're very sensitive. They're worthy. And then the other thing is just keep being transparent. We'll keep you up to date on what we're doing, when the work's done, etc. So,
any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Sorry that I'm the question girl.
Sure.
I know we just have custodians right now in the building. We don't have any students or teachers in there right now. So,
we do have a small
Yes.
group of students. One of our summer theater camps is taking place there, and then we also have some sports teams that continue to have summer practice and workouts in the building.
Okay. Any complaints from people since we've found these issues at all?
None that I'm aware of. We've been in the building quite a bit as well, and haven't smelled anything ourselves. We haven't heard any complaints. So
I know at the last board meeting we talked about testing for biologics. Was that ever done?
wait, Kevin, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have not had a chance, basically when we want to sample for biological, matter such as, fungal, mold spores, certain things, we want to be sampling when the odor is present to verify that those, with the odor present, there are safe levels of mold spores or biological matter. I think there's been one time we had that complaint. Unfortunately, we were not available that hour, and by the time we were ready, the complaints had dissipated, or the odor had dissipated, and there was no longer there. So we have not performed the biological sampling, and we will continue to, if there has been a complaint, jump on board immediately if we can.
Okay, and then I'm very happy to hear about finding the leaks and the breaks and the plumbing and the fixes. At this point, would you say you think we found the root cause? Is it a design flaw in the vents?
Well, it's a complicated question and answer. I would say that we've confirmed what we've considered for a while, is that the main problem is the sewer gas is being drawn back into the air handler units and distributed in the building. Why that is specifically happening in this building and maybe not others is not determined, but the solution to cure the symptom is determined by moving the vents. So occasionally you do have buildings that have those problems. The convention center had the problem recently, and the solution was moving the vents. There's a couple other school districts in Missouri that had a similar problem on renovations. And it was smaller scale because it was typically a smaller renovation that had some new plumbing systems, and they were experiencing a smell, and the fix was to relocate the vent. Now, in those cases, it was a little easier because you're talking about one or two vents. In this case, it's a lot of vents. So, has the source of the problem been found? It's difficult to answer, but we know where the problem is coming from, which are the vents on the roof, and we know how to fix it so you don't experience the smell.
Okay, and then
Maybe
in
that
the
helps.
future, when we
Yeah.
build new buildings,
Also, just to add to the question that you just asked, Erica, we work with a wide group of partners, and so parallel to what Mr. Frank had just shared, we worked with several of our local union business agents who have been in the plumbing industry for, we had 3 people there. One had 46 years of experience with plumbing, and as Mr. Frank shared regarding the new convention center that's being constructed downtown, they've experienced a similar issue, and there's about 4 other buildings in the downtown area. And the resolution for all of those, everything met code. The resolution was to move the plumbing vents further away from the rooftop units that were heating and cooling those buildings. So as he shared, we feel fairly confident. We've also engaged with other experts with significant experience in dealing with these issues here locally, and we feel fairly confident that this will also address that issue.
so in the future, when we build new buildings, do we need to consider wind patterns?
That's a good question, and obviously, I'm not an engineer, right? But certainly warrants a discussion. I know as we go through constructability, on the front end of, at least in projects that I've been involved in, we do talk about those things such as, which way the sun's coming in and where you have your most glass, exposure in that building. And so those are conversations that are being had, and this can certainly just be added to one of those checklist items.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, I have 2. First, in the event that this happens in the future, are there any mitigations for filtering or something like that, either coming out of the stack or into the air handlers or anything like that, that maybe like charcoal or some type of filter that's inside of that would prevent this, even if the stacks are not moved?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things with mechanical systems is obviously they all have filters, and those filters have certain MERV ratings. The tighter that filter is, the more it suffocates that unit, which causes a lot of things to burn up internally, whether it's compressors or other components. So while there might be a product out there, it probably can't be utilized on the mechanical systems to help filter that out because it compounds the issue with burning up that unit. As a lot of people, if you recall during COVID, most systems use what is called a MERV 8. Some of the legacy systems use a MERV 8 filter, and a lot of systems during COVID to help filter, if you will, increase their rating on their filter to MERV 13 or greater, and had dire consequences on their mechanical systems that are just now rearing their head, if you will.
Same reason why we have to change the filters on our furnaces.
That is correct.
If you get a clogged
Exactly.
furnace, your AC doesn't work. And
Exactly.
all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Second thing is the smoke test, I'll put you in a situation, right? Building's done. The kids are about to move in.
Yep.
Smoke test is not performed?
So not typically. And what I would say is the difference, so there is testing that's performed on vent systems. So after the plumber's done, they do water test the system. So they fill the entire vent system up with water. It has to sit for 24 hours, and the inspector looks at it to ensure that there's no breaks. Typically, when that test is performed, plumbing system's intact, you move forward. The difference on this building is it was so masonry heavy that to perform the masonry work on this building, we had to hire the 2 largest masonry contractors in a 3-state area, and they had to team up to get this job done. Any given day, we had from 50 to 60 masons on site, plus each mason typically gets 2 to 3 laborers with them to get the work done. So you're talking, 120, 150 guys on site installing masonry every day. To get this done, they had to bring in travelers from Oklahoma, from different states to get the work accomplished. And I think that, so what I will say is that the smoke testing on a heavy masonry job is implemented in our QA/QC process now.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes, it is.
Going forward.
But I would say typically smoke testing a building is something that no one does because you don't run into that. And if you do have a break, it's usually a local space. And that's what these cases were, the breaks in the building. It was a complaint in one bathroom that you would go and find that case. The case on the 2400 hallway, it probably would have been easier to find except for the exhaust fans were drawing it across the entire floor, so that complicated it. It was one of the biggest masonry jobs in Missouri of recent years. And I think just having that many masons with travelers, they dropped a few blocks and unfortunately didn't tell anyone when that happened. So, but very good point. We will be smoke testing buildings in the future, yes.
Okay, sorry, one last one. August, we bring all the kiddos back.
Mm-hmm.
The building is filled, and we have an odor. What do we do?
Call me.
Okay.
Basically, if there's an odor, and like I had said the last meeting, we're committed to get this to a resolution where you have a building that you're happy with, that there's no odor issues. We are confident that this is going to solve the problem, and if it doesn't, we're here, and we're going to take the next step as needed. I don't expect to need to do that, but if we do, we are here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Great, thanks.
At this time, we are going to welcome superintendent comments, and we're going to welcome Dr. Rumpus to speak.
Thank you, President Blair. Maybe thank you for the quickest meeting ever so I can talk for the next 20 minutes. I first want to, I'd like to recognize that today is Juneteenth. While the district was open and we do have a meeting this evening, I don't want to lose sight that today is a national holiday, so I wanted to draw attention to that. As I close out my final board meeting as superintendent, I do want to take a few minutes for some thank yous. I've always believed that people are brought into our lives, or in this case the district, at the right time and for a certain reason. And so I'd like to start with Miss Embry, who started supporting the district in the fall of '22 through some consulting and through some work that we were doing. And then we were thrilled that following that year, she was willing to come out of retirement to join our team as CFOO last year, and then committed to again staying this year when we couldn't identify the ideal candidate last year. Our improved financial trust and transparency within the community are in large part due to her exceptional knowledge and understanding of school finance, but more importantly, her ability to communicate the nuance of it to all stakeholders at whatever level and to help all of us better understand school finance. She has been a trusted advisor and teammate to this group and especially to me over the last 3 years. So during one of our first Zoom meetings, back when it was just consultant Ms. Embry working with the district, she showed me a framed print that she had in her office that was a gift she received when she retired in 2021 from public education from the Springfield School District after 29 years. And the print showed each district she had been in the years in which she had served. And so on behalf of the district, our team would like to present Carol tonight with an updated print that now shows her commitment after she came out of retirement to serving the Francis Howell School District and now recognizes her 30-plus years of service to public education. Carol, the district, our team, and I are all better having worked with you and have learned a lot from you. So thank you.
Oh, did he? We'll have to have a conversation with him. Okay. Is this ready? Is my lean over?
There's a little bit of a gap here. Do you want to come down here, Carolee, or are you too tall?
If somebody goes on that side, Amy, you want to join them on that side?
Where am I going? Squeeze in. I'm centering a little more.
I just feel weird.
Sarah, go this way one step. There you go. Hold that a little straighter.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Even that out.
Thank you. That was Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I have
super
this,
cool.
And now I have
Yeah.
Chris Cal. It's awesome.
That's fun,
I love
right?
it. I know. Thank you.
Very
Thank
cool.
you. That is so surprising. Let's see. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That's really cool. So we have it and that's amazing.
Did you have to take down the other one? Or
Well, that would be her
steal the-
decision.
I know.
Fortunately, her partner at home, he was willing to help me out and get me a version of it. So. Next to our teachers, our staff, our building, and our district leaders, you are the heart of this district. Every day you show up for students with professionalism, care, and resilience, whether that's in the classroom, behind the scenes, the front lines of support, keeping our buildings beautiful, meeting our students at the bus each and every day. Your commitment to our students and families is unmatched, and thank you for believing in the potential of every child in our district and for carrying forward our mission with integrity. While this has not been the easiest 5 years necessarily with all of our associations, I hope that even during the challenging times that FHEA, FISPA, and Teamsters know that I value them and what they do for our students and staff, and I hope that the spirit of collaboration will continue and that the relationship continues to improve. To the current Board of Education and the multiple iterations over the past 5 years that I've gotten to serve, thank you for your leadership first and foremost in your service to the community. Thank you for putting your trust in me as a deputy superintendent 5 years ago and as superintendent for the past 3 years. While we have not always agreed on every decision and you have not approved every recommendation I've ever made, I have often said, though, that I've always felt as a person supported by this board and that you got to know me as a person and I've had the opportunity to get to know you as individuals and know that you do care about students and about this district, and that's why you've committed to this service. We have navigated challenging moments together, and we've also celebrated a lot of success that we sometimes forget because those challenging moments rise to the surface. So I appreciate your dedication to governance, to the fiscal responsibility that you have, to holding us accountable, and to keeping student success at the center of the work. I really hope for continued collaboration of you as a board and openness to hearing one another and our community. To the Francis Howell community, our parents, our patrons, our neighbors, thank you for your trust and ongoing support of me in this role. You remind us time and again that strong public schools are the foundation of a thriving community, and that is important, and especially important to make sure that all voices in the community are heard, especially the voices that we don't always agree with or that bring a different perspective to us in understanding the work. While we continue to have opportunities for improvement, I celebrate the steps that we've taken over the past several years to hear different voices and to provide different opportunities to engage more of our stakeholders in ways that we haven't in the past, because I recognize that there have been times that historically we have not always listened to all the voices, or the ones that wanted to question us or hold us accountable, and I think we've all learned over the past few years how important that is. To the cabinet, and especially the executive cabinet sitting here with me and Ms. Hepler. It's been an honor to serve alongside each of you. I've often said that this is the hardest working team that I've ever worked with, and your work ethic is unmatched. Thank you for your wisdom, your humor, your candor, and your drive to do what is best for students, even when the work is hard and it's hard decisions. You have challenged me, you've pushed me to be better. I appreciate you as colleagues and as friends. You are all exceptional leaders, and any district would be lucky to have you. So thank you for serving Francis Howell. I want to thank my family. I invited them to be here. I said this was the last opportunity, and they are not here. This role is demanding, and it really is a family commitment to serve as a superintendent. So I want to thank Amy, who keeps things running at home. Garrett, Haley, Hayden, and Addison for the grace of my absence, because in addition to having 4 kids, I get the honor of serving 17,000 other students, and they understand that. And to my mother-in-law, Libby, who watches every meeting in its entirety, and when I get home late often, we debrief the meeting. It's been an honor for the past 2 years to get to be a superintendent dad. This was the first time I got to do that for 2 of my own kids, and I look forward to being a part of the district as a parent moving forward. As I leave this role, I do so with a lot of pride in what we've accomplished and hope for what's ahead for this district. There is always more work to be done. There's more academic and social emotional goals to achieve. There's more voices to hear, more bridges to build, and more opportunities to grow. This has been the hardest 5 years of my career, and probably also the most challenging. Most rewarding and challenging. I believe that I leave here a better leader because of the opportunities and the challenges that I faced in Francis Howell, the challenges that we've faced together. And as Mr. Delaney recently pointed out, I'm leaving with a lot more gray hair than I came with 5 years ago. Francis Howell is not and has never been defined by one leader. This district is defined by a legacy of success and by being a leader in preparing students to be lifelong learners prepared for the future. I hope that the district never loses sight of the collective strength of this community and the values that we share. Again, we share a lot more values. We have a lot more values in common than what divide us. I really hope the district continues to work toward the idea of one Howell, and that's working together, listening deeply to one another for us to ensure that every student is seen, heard, and known, and that has the opportunity to be successful and grow from where they come to the district at. So thank you all for the incredible privilege that I've had serving the district over the past 5 years. It's been an honor.
Now it's our turn to say some appropriate words. So board comments, who would like to go first?
Oh, I'll go first. I have 2, actually. Honor about July of 2023, which was approximately 90 days after I was elected. I spoke to Miss Embry and I said, find us $1 million. And what I meant by that is find us $1 million in savings. And as the long process wore out, all she kept coming up with was $1 million on the wrong side. We kept, everything was going up $1 million, not coming down $1 million. Well, tonight, she remedied that. She gave me $1 million. So I thank you, Ms. Embry. Yeah, we're gonna, yeah, I almost spent it. I almost spent it
I paid
tonight.
for that. I paid for that personally.
But
Just to be clear.
I just want to say a few more words about Ms. Embry. We're here today to celebrate someone who has spent years balancing budgets, forecasting spreadsheets, and silently judging us for submitting expense reports in Comic Sans. Yes, the day has come. Our fearless CFO, Ms. Carol Embry, is retiring again, or as we like to call it, permanently out of office. Let's be honest, we're not sure how we can function without her. Who else will remind us that miscellaneous is not an actual budget category? Who will stop us from panic buying things at the end of the fiscal year like it's Black Friday? Who else will be able to help find that $1 million to save? Carol has been the financial backbone of this organization. She's been the calm in the audit storm, the wizard behind the spreadsheets, and the only person we've ever met who actually gets excited about 4 buckets. And let's not forget, she's the reason the lights stayed on, the checks went out, and we only had 3 panic attacks during budget season. That's leadership. But now she's off to a life of relaxation, sleeping in, no more emails marked urgent, and the freedom to ignore Excel and voicemail messages forever, or at least until she starts budgeting her vacation with color-coded tabs. We'll miss your wisdom, your wit, and the way you could spot a rounding error from 30 feet away. Enjoy retirement, Carol. You've earned every minute of it. Just promise us one thing. If you ever get bored, you're welcome to come back as a volunteer CFO, unpaid, of course. Congratulations, and may your next chapter be full of joy, travel, and absolutely no board reports. I'll go ahead.
I'll do my other one.
Who else wants to share?
Oh, you go ahead.
We'll go Ponder, then Sarah. Okay.
Up until Carol got here, I had never seen a 70-slide PowerPoint, ever. Not once. So thanks for that. You gave me something I've never had before. I have always enjoyed my conversations with Carol and Ken, and all of you, for that matter. Carol and I had some very candid conversations over the last, however long you've been here. And if anybody really wants to know who Carol is, she's somebody that just punches you between the eyes with everything that she says. So she doesn't hold back. She tells you exactly what she means, and she doesn't sugarcoat things just for your feelings. She tells you what you need to know, not what she thinks you want to hear. So thank you for that. We're going to miss that here. I hope that your replacement is exactly like you.
She is.
You keep telling me that, and I'm going to hold her to it. And really, Ken, you too. You've never really beat around the bush. You tell us what you want. You tell us how you want us to get it, and how we can help the district. A superintendent should not do anything other than that. We should know exactly what you want, exactly where you stand on everything, so that we understand the business plan behind what it is that you need as a superintendent to fulfill the needs of the kids and the staff. So thanks for that. You keep doing that. Whatever it is that you're doing, keep doing that, and you'll be limitless. I will see you, if I don't see you before, I will definitely see you 2 years from now at graduation. That's all I got.
Carly, did you want to go?
This is just board comments, so who else has a board comment?
All right, I'll go with that.
Okay, let's go with, I'll go with Director
I'll go
Wilkie
very
first, 'cause
quick.
I mentioned that just a
I
moment
just
ago.
wanted to say a very simple thank you. As a brand new board member, learning the ropes has not been easy. I have to remind myself this is a volunteer position because of the number of hours I am putting into it. But I did want to point out that Carol, your mark is clearly left on Francis Howell, because as I was going through my state mandated Board of Education training, I saw the word certificated and thought of you. So I hope the new person keeps that word. So
Critical ones.
Well, sadly, we must say goodbye to two phenomenal leaders in the Francis Howell School District. And when I thought of ways to describe the personal characteristics of Carol and Ken, I realized they share common traits. So I narrowed it down to 10 words representing their remarkable leadership skills. And these are just 10. Remember, I narrowed it down. Collaborative, respectful, knowledgeable, positive, brave, unifier, honest, hopeful, and caring. That's just 10. I could go on. But we wish you well in your future endeavors, and I hope you know that we will miss both of you and your calming presence. That's important. Keep that. Should I go ahead with the other thing I wanted to say in honor of Juneteenth? I'm kind of changing gears here. Did you want to go first?
No, go ahead. I can read the.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll say my 2 comments. Then I'll pass back over to you. So I just want to add also to Ms. Embry and Dr. Rumpus too. So one of my life mantras is courage over comfort, right? There's a Brene Brown quote that is in Rising Strong that says, integrity is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. I think that this embodies you both in your leadership, so may you continue to choose courage. To shift a little bit, also, I just wanted to recognize, I know Dr. Rumpus mentioned Juneteenth also. Just very briefly, for those who are not aware, I want to make sure everybody knows what this day is about. Juneteenth, Emancipation Day, commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S., specifically marking the day in 1865 when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the freedom of enslaved people on June 19th, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. It's a celebration. It is a day for reflection on African American history, culture, achievements, and resilience, as well as a day to celebrate freedom and justice. So I hope everyone finds a way to reflect on Juneteenth today.
What we will do, if there are other board comments, this is a unique Thursday. If there are other unique board comments, this is the time to do that. And at the very end, I will wrap up the time with some other words for both Carol and Ken, as well as something else to share.
I had something else.
Yes, I want to make sure that we are going to get back to...
Since I haven't been here in so long.
We've missed you, and we have missed you.
So also in honor of Juneteenth, I couldn't help but think of the resolution in response to racism and discrimination that hung on our walls previously. So because I believe in it, I wanted to share that tonight because I think the words need to be said. The Francis Howell School District Board of Education pledges to our learning community that we will speak firmly against any racism, discrimination, and senseless violence against people, regardless of race, ethnicity, nationality, immigration status, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or ability. We will promote racial healing, especially for our Black and brown students and families. We will no longer be silent. We are committed to creating an equitable and anti-racist system that honors and elevates all, but one that also specifically acknowledges the challenges faced by our Black and brown students and families. In order to accomplish these ideals, the Francis Howell School District Board of Education commits to the following. The Francis Howell District Board of Education stands firmly against all acts of individual and systemic racism. We commit to becoming allies in the struggle to foster better understanding and a socially just community. We will openly talk, challenge, and confront racism. As a school board and district, we value each and every student, family, and staff member. We embrace our organizational responsibility to ensure that the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion are integrated into the culture, curriculum, policies, programs, operations, and practices of the Francis Howell School District. The Francis Howell School District Board of Education hereby declares that racism is a crisis that negatively impacts our students, our families, our community, and our staff. The board hereby declares its commitment to establishing, supporting, and sustaining a culture of anti-racism district-wide. We see you, we hear you, we are listening, and we are learning. It was adopted on August 20th, 2020.
and it was sunset. And I think we've all, as a community, been asking ourselves, what do we do, or what can we do with that looking forward? And how can we honor our community and the one Howell spirit that we want to see continue within our community? And I hope I do this right when I do this, because I'm going to look at this book here and I'm going to make a motion, if we can, to create what might be the next revision of our resolution against racism, something that goes beyond and incorporates the voices of our community. I'm asking that we create a committee or a task force sometime in the very near future to hash out what those words might look like and how, as one Howell, we can embrace that future.
So the chair recognizes that you're mentioning emotion.
I'm trying.
You're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
We have recognized this as a topic worth discussion, and it is going to be part of a retreat discussion at our summer retreat. And I'm asking if that discussion at that time, looking at different possibilities or manifestations or different versions, if that would be a efficient or sufficient response to what you're offering.
Yes. Motion sustained. I have a lot to read, okay?
Well, now, while we laugh at, Robert's Rules of Order is interesting, it feels like, but what Robert's Rules of Order exists is to provide efficiency and fairness in a meeting. And so I hear what you're sharing and want to say that when we land on our summer retreat, that will be part of the conversation at the summer retreat.
I look forward to it.
Thank you. Anything else you wanted to say something to?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We're gathered here today to celebrate another great leader, a passionate educator, and someone who somehow managed to survive school board meetings, budget season, and bus route complaints, all without running off to join the circus. Although, let's be honest, that probably sounded pretty good on some days. Yes, our beloved superintendent, Dr. Rumpus, is leaving us to join another district. We're trying to be happy for him. Really, we are. But it feels a slight bit like being dumped by someone who says, it's not you, it's this new district that's slightly closer to Trader Joe's. We can't help but wonder, was it our parking lot? Was it the copier that jams every time you print something important? Or did someone finally crack and mention that innovative learning was just a fancy way of saying we're figuring it out as we go? But in all seriousness, I can't even say it, seriousness, yes. Ken, you've been more than a superintendent. You've been a steady hand in chaotic times, a calm presence during very uncalm moments, and most impressively, someone who still remembers most of our school acronyms. Yeah, we still don't know half of what them stand for. AIP, GAM, QILS. You've led with heart, with humor, and with a deep belief in students, teachers, and the power of education. And even though you're off to greener pastures, or at least to new cafeteria menus, we hope that you'll always remember this district as one of your best chapters. We'll miss you. Your leadership, your guidance, and your uncanny ability to smile through a 3-hour board meeting before that also was attached to a closed session that ended at 11:30 p.m. Please don't be a stranger, and if you are, at least send us your new district snow day policy as a parting gift. Thank you, Ken, and best of luck. They're lucky to have you. Just don't forget us little people here still arguing about the difference between AMI and a snow day.
Thank you so much. I want to share something, and then we want to we have a picture we want to take with you as well. So just very briefly, Carol, thank you. You and I have had a lot of conversations. Thank you for all the levels that those words mean. Thank you. And for the people who are here, the 15 or so folks who are here on Thursday night, thank you. For those of you who are watching, there's a number of things we're in a better place as a district because of you. Thank you. And for Ken, I just want to say the same thing. I've enjoyed working with you for the last year plus. you love students, and you understand that helping staff and admin is the best way to give every student the best education possible. We see it, and the reason why people are crying because you're leaving is because we know that you have fought so hard for a lot of people in ways that they don't know. And we are thankful. I met the Kirkwood board president, and she just said, we're looking forward, we're so excited. And my words were, you should be. And I use the phrase, to know this person is to love them. That's one of the best compliments you can give, right? Is that the more you know a person, the more you love them and care for them. I think that applies to Carol and the rest of the admin here. That goes to you as well. But for Carol and Ken, this is your moment. To know you is to love you. And I appreciate you being transparent and genuine, and I'm very thankful. You have never been just Ken. You are Dr. Kenneth Rumpus, who puts the super in superintendent.
Yes.
You are Knuff, and you always will be Knuff.
Can we sing a song now?
Oh, there will be a dance break later on, but I do want to share with you a gift as well. What's funny about this gift, sometimes you give the gifts that you like to receive. And so, like, if somebody likes clothes, you buy clothes for somebody. If you like jewelry, you buy jewelry for somebody. Well, there's this this wonderful description of all the different places you have been to, whether it's Melville or St. Louis Public or Ripner, Francis Howell, maybe Kirkwood.
You put Kirkwood on there.
Kirkwood is on there. What we want to do is have you come up and give this as a gift to you as a way of celebrating your time here as well. So let us all have Ken come forward.
You have enough room on your walls?
Got to take down yours.
We're not great at original ideas.
You can come up and get a better picture.
Oh, no, it's fine.
You're a proud parent. You've
No,
taken a video.
I'm good. I'm kidding.
Oh, boy. This is right. Very good. Okay, just for my use, will you grab your frame and jump in, Carol, so I get one of you together so I can use it in the board update?
Well,
Should we have some?
I was gonna say, we get all the admin.
Yeah, I think
I
you do that.
can in a minute.
Jane, everybody?
Oh, goodness.
Now,
Do I need to do that?
go that way one's stuck, because now Ken says, put your face, okay. Mark, go that way one's stuck. There we go. We're good? All right.
Did you want one
We can
picture with
line
the
up
other?
everybody up first one?
Let's have one more picture with the other admins. Just really quick.
Well, you need to be in it.
Jane, Scott, everybody join us
Who's
for one
gonna take the
picture.
picture? Someone out there?
Carl will. I know Carl very well. Carl.
Carl, you know how you start.
Carl or Sam. Sam, would you be comfortable?
Carl's closer.
See, you're our only Patriot comment tonight.
Let's start snapping. So keep your mouths open, your eyes closed. All right, there we go. We're good. We got 4.
All right.
Thank you. All right, you're welcome.
Oh, that's all right. That's my favorite moment right there. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're good. I wasn't.
Almost.
I do want to share, last time. I do want to share one more piece, is that there's a group called the MSBA that does a lot of board training, and there's some ways that we're going to find opportunities to be more efficient, to lead our meetings, get a chance to be just a better board, and a better board to help us for the next stage, next season, all that stuff. And I just want to share that you all have a strategic plan to follow. You have been equipped and entrusted to follow through with that plan. And just want to say clearly, the very best days for Francis Howell are still in the future because of the way you have led us and prepared us for this moment. So thank you again to all of you. Thank you again to Carol Embry. Thank you again to Kenneth Rumpus. And with that, I'd like to ask for a motion.
And happy birthday, Stephen.
Oh,
It's your birthday today, so happy birthday.
I mean, we're not, I appreciate it. I prefer to focus on Ken and Carol right now. Well, you can sing later. We'll just. But to keep the focus, thank you so much, Amy. But for Carol, for Ken, all of you, thank you for what you do. And with that, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion by Director Pushkar, seconded by Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you all very much.